In the process of those unprecedented demonstrations, acts of violence and extensive destruction of public property and private property, I have been asked to say how many people were arrested during that period. 1,208. Number two, I've been asked to state during those June, July riots, how many people lost their lives? 42. Thirdly, I have been asked to give an account of any unaccounted or unidentified bodies which could be in public mortuaries arising out of those unprecedented events of June and July 2024. 2. The number is 2. And finally, I have been asked to inform this committee, and by extension Parliament, how many people were reported missing during the June, July violent riots across the country. 132. 42,500 officers have been in one station for more than 3 years, contrary to government policy. We began the program of the transfers. We are halfway. We are about 26,000 already have moved because of their logistical issues. There are issues that come with these transfers and movements. But I want to assure the House that that policy is reversible and will be implemented to the full. Any officer who has served in one station for more than 3 years must move to another station. You cannot have a security officer serving in one area for 7 years, 10 years, 15 years. It is against public interest, and they make police officers part of the local community. They start opening bars and doing civilian things there. I've made it clear in public, in private, in all forums, that this administration does not condone abductions or extrajudicial killings or enforce disappearances. So it is unfair to visit a policy of extrajudicial killings on government unless we are provided with the evidence of policy pronouncement, policy articulation that supports this kind of unlawful behavior. And going forward, I think the challenge we have, Chair, as a country, is just to make sure that anybody who breaks the law, even if they are law enforcement people, they are brought to account. And I want to assure Kenya, I will not be the minister for Kenya's security who will sit down and plan how the people of Kenya can get harmed by anybody. It is wrong, it is illegal, it is sacrilegious, and it undermines our democracy completely. We have no business sitting here if we could even countenance for a moment that someone who is innocent or someone who needs to be arrested and taken to court is being held somewhere for fun. Whatever that fun is, it is evil, it's unacceptable. As I have said many times, the government of Kenya has nothing to hide. If a Kenyan died, we cannot hide the fact that a Kenyan has died. What we need to do is to find out the circumstances under which the Kenyan died and ensure that if there is culpability or culpability by any person, including a security official or a law enforcement agency, justice is served, because the law does not allow death outside what is permitted in law. To that extent, I agree the incompleteness of that response, and I beg for 24 hours to again supplement with a more detailed information that includes the last 12 of the cases that were not included in the list which I had forwarded already to the committee yesterday. We also had an attempt to ban and violate other protected areas. The Supreme Court was attacked, including the chambers of the Chief Justice, meaning the judiciary was also targeted. And those who took advantage of that expression of democratic opinion to commit crime also and intended to access State House and take it over unconstitutionally. So that is the context in which I respond to this statement, Mr. Chair. It is not scientifically correct to say that when someone is reported missing, they have been abducted. It is also not scientific to say that if a missing person report has been made, then that person has been abducted because they were participating in a demonstration. We have had a problem in this country for the last so many years of persons who are reported missing. Some of them have been traced eventually after months, others after weeks, others after years, others have never been found. And therefore, while we got some missing person reports from actually across the country, incidentally including some of the parts of the country where the demonstrations were not violent or were not even present. And that breakdown per county is provided. And I think in the spirit of the national, the police and other security sector reforms which we have initiated, I want to promise Kenya that we will rein in on any excesses by law enforcement officials to use weapons that are bought with the taxes of the people of Kenya outside the law to harm the people of Kenya, to kill the people of Kenya, or even to arrest them in a manner that is inconsistent with the Constitution. In a nutshell, this government, and I say without fear of contradiction, does not condone extrajudicial killings, does not condone abductions by any person, whether a criminal or a law enforcement agency. And it is true, dealing with the aftermath of the attempted overthrow of the Constitution of Kenya by criminals and dangerous people who almost burnt the Parliament of Kenya, we have a job to do. And we are not going to relent. I know there are people who want to politicize that exercise. We will be extremely firm and neutral. And I am informed by DCI that high-level prosecutions will ensue any time from now, of including political leaders who financed, and we have evidence they financed people to loot shops, to kill Kenyans, expose them to danger, and we cannot countenance the kind of mayhem we saw in July and June for whatever reason. And that's why I've said this job is a bit, it's a very unpopular job. We will do it. So we are going to prosecute high-level people who assisted criminals to harm other people, to destroy infrastructure. And they even made an attempt to actually bring down such a serious institution like the Parliament of the People of Kenya. I submit.